Hello everyone. So in the last video we solved Roman to integer, and in this video we are going to solve integer to Roman. Now if you haven't seen the previous video, I would recommend that you go and watch it before watching this video, because in that we have seen the rules for converting Roman to an integer. So let me just show you once again. So apart from these literals, there are six additional literals, okay, which we derived by combining two literals. So it says that you can use I before V and X only. You can use X before L and C can be placed before D and M. So apart from these seven literals, there are these six additional literals that we can use. So why I'm saying this is because we are going to use those rules inside this. So now let's directly jump into example one. Okay, so we have 3749. Okay, so for 3000 we'll start with bigger number. So for 3000 we can replace 3000 with 3 m's. Okay, so 3m is 3000. Now we are left with 749. Now 700, we have a bigger number, that is 500, and then we can use two c's. So we'll use 500 plus two c's, that is 700. So 1d and 2c, this will give 700. So 3700 we have already created. Now we are left with 49. So to create 49, we will use 150 and then one x. So we'll use 50 minus 10, that is 40. Okay, so we'll use XL. So XL will be this 40. Now we are left with 9. So how will we create 9? That is 10 minus 1. So I will use IX. I will use IX. So that's how we are going to create Romans from these integers. So while I was creating Roman from integers, you might have seen that I was using only the combinations that were predefined. Okay. So what I did is I used 3m's, I used D, 2C's, and then I used 40. So 40 is also a combination that is created by a combination of X and L, these two literals. Then I used 9. 9 is also a combination of I and X. So these are already predefined. So in the previous question, it is mentioned here. So I can be placed before these two littles only. X can be placed before these two littles only, and C can be placed before these two littles only. So let's see 58. Okay. So for 58, we have to pick the biggest little first. So for 58, we can pick 50 first. Okay. So we have used 50 first. Then 8. How will you create 8? So for 8, we will pick the biggest little. So biggest one is 5. Okay. So we'll use 5. Then we are left with 3. So how will you create 3? For creating 3, you will use I 3 times. That's it. But I don't think example 2 will explain much better. In example 1, we have seen how we have used multiple literal as a single value. Okay, so we have 3 m's. That's fine for 3000. 1d for 500. Then 2c for 200. Now the real crux is XLIX. So why we have used XL? Because to create 49, we have to use the maximum value that we can use. So maximum value we can use is here 40. Okay, so 40 will be XL. Now we are left with 9. So what will be the maximum value that we can use here? The maximum value is not 5. The maximum value is 9, which we can create by combination of I and X. So let me just solve it. If you haven't already understood this, then maybe while I will write the solution, you might get a better understanding. Okay. So first we'll create a function. So let me create a private function, so which will return the Roman value of a given integer. So let's say number to Roman. So we'll get a number. So what number can we get? So we have 7 of these combinations, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 of these combination, and 6 additional these of combinations. So 7 plus 6 13. So we will have a total of 13 values. Okay, so we'll start with the basics. Okay, in case of value is 1, we will return I. In case of 4, we will return IV. So I have told you that I can be placed before V and X. So in case of 5, we will return 5. In case of 9, we will return, that is IX 9. In case of 10, we will return X. In case of 40, XL. In case of 50, we'll return L. Case of In case of 90, we will return X and C. In case of 100, we'll return C. In case of 400, we'll return CD. In case of 500, we'll return D. In case of 900, we'll return CM. In case of 1000, we'll return M. And by default, we'll return empty string. So we have all these possible combinations. Okay, so if any of the values we will get, we can directly return these Roman value. Okay, so now we will create the combination. So we'll create an array which have all these possible combinations. So we'll start with the biggest. So we have 1000, we have 900, we have 500, 400, 100, 90, 50, 40, 10, 5, 4, 10, and then we have 9, 5, 4, and 1. Now what we will do is we will traverse all these values less than 13 and I plus plus. Now we will try to use all these values. So for example, in the example 1, we'll try to use 1000 as many times as we can. Then we'll try to use 900, 500, 400, 100. So we'll try to use all these values as much as possible, and finally we'll return our result. So for example, in this case, we'll try to use 1000 as much as we can. So we'll use 1000 three times. We will not use 900, we will use 500. Okay, then we will not use 400, we will use 100 two times. Then we will not use 90, we will not use 50, we will use 40. Okay, we will not use 10, but we will use 9. Then we will not use all these values. Okay, so we'll try to use a particular value as many times as we can. So while our number is divisible by array at ith position, okay, we will make our answer using the ith value. Okay, so while our number is divisible by this particular value, we will insert our answer, that is number 2 Roman of array at I. Okay, since it's divisible, and we will reduce the number, and finally we'll return our answer. So let's see if this works or not. Okay, we have not used a switch, my bad. We'll use switch for number, and we will format this. Okay, okay, so our initial test case has been passed, but we can add one more optimization. So we'll run for all the 13 values, and we'll try to use that value as many times as we can, but only until we have number. So if we have number and I is less than 30, because for example, if we have used 100, 500, then 2 times 100, then we use 40, then we use 9, and after that 541 is not used, and in that case we can save 3 iterations of this loop. Okay, so now we will submit this, and our solution has been accepted. So just to recap, what we did is, we know that these are the values, 13 combinations that we can create using these Roman literals. Okay, so all these 13 literals has these values. So we will sort this from maximum to the lowest, and then we'll iterate this 13 times at max of 13 times, and each time we will try to use that value as many times as possible. If for example, example 1, in example 1, first we'll pick 1000, and while the number is divisible by this 1000, we'll keep on dividing that number by 1000. Okay, so we'll divide it 3 times. Okay, so for 3 times we will get m, and each time we will subtract that value. So we'll subtract 1000 3 times and we are left with 749. Then we'll try to use 900, which we will not be able to. Then we'll use 500. Yes, so we'll divide 749 by 500, so which is possible. Okay, so we will add the Roman of 500 and we'll subtract 500 since we have used 500. Then we are left with 249. So we cannot use 400, but we can use 100 two times. So we will divide number by 100 two times, and in two times we will add the Roman value of 100, that is c, and we'll subtract 100 two times. So now we are left with 49. For 49 we cannot use 90, we cannot use 50, but we can use 40. So we will add the Roman for 40, subtract 40, and finally we are left with 9. So we cannot use 10, but we can use 9. So we'll divide number by 9, which is possible. So we'll add the Roman for 9, subtract that 9, and we are left with 0. In next iteration, since number is 0, we'll quit this loop and return our answer. So that's it.